with our variety of guests and of course your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
So hot, it's cool.
Good enough to listen to
98.9 WINN FM. WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM. Radio never sounded like this.
Radio never sounded like this.
98.9 WINN FM. You found the sound. 98.9 WINN FM.
Good evening, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good evening to the Leeward Islands. Good evening to the OECS. Good evening to the Caribbean. Hey, since we're at it, we might as well say good evening to the entire world. Well, no, not really good evening. It's either good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever it is in your part of the world. Good whatever. And welcome to another edition of On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9 with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be here with you another week. Gosh, did I say October finish fast? As a matter of fact, did I say the year finish fast? I remember when I was on another station doing from midnight in the morning to 6 in the afternoon on New Year's Day. I tell people, boy, the year nearly finishing and today was only the first. And the amount of people call me and abusing me. Boy, what are you talking about? What, the first day ain't gone yet? I say, yeah, but the first day gone so fast, I believe the year going down. Swish! A poof! And so said, so done. I sure if we think back and say, well, what all we did for 2024, we're going to have many checks unchecked as opposed to the few checks that were checked. Because as we do something, we tick it off. And boy, October fly fast. And my sister, she had a birthday on the 18th. It made her, I think she's now 15, 16, plus a few years. And my daughter, she had a birthday on the 10th, and she made 10 plus a few years. And, well, I saw the other day when I was in the US, she's engaged and she's going to give birth, so I'm going to be a granddad. Wow, boy. That's something exciting. And, but hey, we're not here for that. We're here for sports. Happy birthday to those of you who are celebrating birthday today, the 29th, Tuesday, 29th October. Happy birthday to you. And why, let me say happy birthday to all the October celebrants. You got Jazzy D, you got Lulu. Why Lulu? I got to keep away from Lulu. I see Lulu do something the other night. Lulu dangerous, bad. There was this Emmanuel Methodist Church in Sandy Point. They had their 10th anniversary Calypso show, which they call Emmanuelipso, where they had some 7 churches competing. The Methodist Church up the village, you had Touched by His Wounded Hands from up Shadwell, and of course Emmanuel Methodist Church in Sandy Point, and a few others. And Lulu's son, John Toboy, he was the defending monarch. And Lulu came out with a performance with him. They had this pot on the stage. It looked like an ordinary looking pot. Lulu come out and she danced 3 times around the pot to the left, and then she danced 2.5 times around the pot to the right, and she kicked she left foot twice, and she kicked she right foot 1.5 times. And she went and she picked up to shak shak, and she started whatever she was saying and dancing and doing. And next thing, Lulu take up the pot, the cover off the pot, and I see white smoke come out, and no fire under the pot. Crowd went wild. Lulu mash up the thing. Why? And she kicked another 2 times to the left and 1 to the back, and something, whatever the formula was. But it looked like the formula ain't work, because she son John Toboy, he get a lot of blows. He was second runner-up. We say congratulations to the winners. Well, all the participants. It was a very, very good show. Myself and Yonoma Allen, we were the hosts online. And it was indeed a pleasure working with her for yet another time. And it's always a pleasure having anybody and everybody come to SP where the best be. And so Lulu celebrated happy birthday, Lulu happy birthday belated, birthday Lulu happy belated Jazzy D. And those of you who are celebrating anniversaries this month, I don't know. And if you know people, send us and tell us so we could big them up on the show before we get into the meat of the matter. And we say those who would have gotten something, achieved something, congratulations, and your boy and your baby and your house and your car. I don't know. And your boyfriend and your girlfriend, anything, congratulations. And those of you who have gone through some period of loss, whether you lost a job, you lost a finger, you lost a friend, you lost someone, you have condolences. And speaking of someone, I'm remembering the late Roosevelt Jabbo Trotman out of the McKnight region. He would have played football for Blackburns way back when, and he was a national player. He would have coached the national senior males football team, and he would have been an executive member of the SCASPA Seaport way back when. And I think it was last week we got the news that he went to the great beyond. He transitioned to the great beyond. So we say condolences to the family of the late Roosevelt Jabbo Trotman, condolences to the Blackburns Football Club, and also the McKnight community and the SCASPA. And those of you who are celebrating birthdays between tomorrow, the 30th of October, what the sign is by? I don't remember what the sign is for October, but I could tell you what the sign is for December, Sagittarius, because that's easily the best month of the year, December, for about 27 reasons. One, when you have a start, you must have an end. And you can't have a start before you have an end. So December being the last month in the year, you must have that month to end the year. So we must have a December to end 2024. And December must end before 2025 come in. Otherwise, we're going to just be there tapping my foot and waiting for 2025 to come. And it won't come because December won't end. So those are two reasons. And of course, Christmas. I believe Christmas is my favorite time of the year. According to, is it Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers? Yeah, Christmas is really my favorite time of the year. And I'm talking about Carnival as well. The beautiful time of the year here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And talking about Christmas, boy, I love a bad Christmas music. I think only one person, maybe two people, love Christmas music more than me. That's me. Oh, sorry, that's myself and I. Because I don't listen Christmas music down to about February every year. And then I start listening Christmas music for the Christmas coming about March. So since March this year, I listening Christmas music. And there are some stations, strange enough, that they play Christmas music 24/7. And I've tested it. I go on any time of the day and night, and I always hear a Christmas song, and I let it run a little while. And I hear some covers I've never heard. I've heard some new songs, but I've also heard some covers that I've never really heard anywhere. So I like to tune into them a lot of times, especially 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I know sometimes I home working in the day, and my children them pass through, they watch me funny as if to say, well, boy, I wonder if daddy with us, boy. Listen Christmas music this time of the year. But I just love a bad Christmas music. And anyway, we're back to the program. Those of you who celebrated birthday between last week, Wednesday, and yesterday, we say happy belated birthday to you. Happy anniversary to you, etc., etc. And we got to big up some listeners who I know definitely, they said they always let me know they're listening. We have Mr. Eustace Hendrickson out of, well, he's from St. Kitts, but he's up in Houston, Texas. Houston, not Houston, Houston. Hey, Eustace, what you say, me boy? Good night. Hail up. Thank you for listening as usual. Curtis Cook. The last time I spoke to him, he was, where he was by? I think he was Jamaica, you know. Curtis Cook, I believe he enjoying cricket in life. He's playing with the Masters team out of the States. They came St. Kitts a few years ago, and he was giving them some practice, and he cleaned them up. And from that, the man picked him in the team, and I'm sure that's the most cricket he ever played. So, hey, Curtis, good evening. How are you? He's also tuned in. And 1 or 2 people, or 7 or 10, 11, a few others, but I can't remember the name, you know. And, oh, yes, there's Evie Batiste. Is Evie Batiste? No. Evie, what's your title is, boy? Evie Phillips. There's a blind lady who lives up Newtown, what the road name, boy? You go across Market Street and you turn up there by back to shop, and she lives on the less. Evie, good night, Evie, how are you? She always tuning in as usual, and there's an Ann Buchanan in the US. She listens. There's a Larnett Somerset, I think the name is. She's in Keon. And who else? Why? Oh, I was wondering if it's all ladies listening to me. Then I started thinking somewhere, but I just remember he got some man listening to me, Curtis and Eustace. So, hey, I got to check myself. But anyway, life is all about having fun and enjoying ourselves. And we got a bit of sports for you. We have a guest tonight, the director of sports, Mr. Jeffrey Pedro Hazel. He'll be with us about 8 o'clock, and he'll be talking about the primary school and secondary school football competition that's up and running. It started. We have a bit of news about we should have a bit of news about the Masters League that is happening. And I really wanted to play in the Masters League, you know. I went and I registered and I practiced once or twice, and people telling me, boy, Biff, you ain't lose a thing, boy. How come you ain't playing with the youngsters for the under 19 or something? But then I ordered a special pair of boots just for this Masters tournament. But I don't know, boy. And up to now, I ain't get these pair of boots. I'm still trying to track it down part of the whole is. Maybe they know I would have really mashed up this whole thing, and they didn't want that. So I miss out on the Masters League this year. And Sandy Point get some blows last week when Thursday. They get a 3-2 from Molyneux. And the Sandy Point striker, he in front the goal to his right, the goalkeeper out of position, the goal empty. And would you believe, no, Yeah, would you believe he kicked the ball to his left? The goal to the right, and the man kicked the ball to the left, not once, twice. I sure I could have shot me, I turned backwards and scored a goal. But that's all part of the fun. But I must say, I enjoy the bits and pieces I've been seeing. And I'm wondering, how come the youngsters today, when I say youngsters, playing in the National League, the Premier and the First Division, they can't play the ball like this. Yes, these are veterans. These would have passed the prime 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years ago, whenever. But the type of football they're playing, and it looks so easy. It makes football look really, really easy. You go here, you run, you get it, you pass it, you run, you look around and things like that. But let us kick off with some, though he'll talk about it, let's kick off and with some scores. And what do we have here? The St. Kitts and Nevis Anguilla National Bank Inter-Primary Schools Football Match Day. 3 results. And match day 3 was Monday, 28th October. That's yesterday. And I have a thing about sponsors. I respect sponsors and sponsorship a lot. And I really compliment any entity, be it an individual, big business, small business, whatever it is that come forward and sponsor various things, whether shows, churches, groups, association. And of course, I'm the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association, and we having some events coming up, and we like some sponsors for them. And also, this show, On the Ball, it is not sponsored. We've been going for a year, and we really need sponsors to ensure we keep on going. So please call our marketing department, 466-9586, WINN FM 466-9586, and one of our marketing officers will be able to work with you and come up with a plan. Whether you want to sponsor the entire show for the entire month, you want to sponsor the first Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month, you want to sponsor the first hour, the first half hour, whatever you want, we will work with you. Of course, we would want you to sponsor the entire show for the entire year. And we're here to satisfy you. So whatever you want, we will give you. And hey, forgive me. I got to go off course again. I remember I was at the Crop Over Calypso final in Trinidad, in Barbados. And the first Calypsonian came out. And they said he was sponsored by 4 or 5 different entities. I said, wow, that's a good thing, boy. This guy went out and worked hard and get some sponsors. Next thing, the second Calypsonian come out. And he got sponsors too. He asked you whatever he was. The third, so after the second one finished, the third one come out. I said, well, I guarantee he only got 4 or 5. And all of them had a minimum of 4 or 5 sponsors. So I asked the party I was with, a lovely young lady. She's into culture in Barbados. Hey, what's the deal with this thing? And she told me what the government does. They have some tax break, tax returns, tax relief. So when you sponsor anything, sporting entities, businesses, cultural events, let us say you sponsor $100,000 at the end of the year. When the government, at the end of the year, when you do your tax return, the government will say, okay, this is what you spent on sponsorship, $100,000. We multiply that by 3 because we give you a 300% or whatever the figure is, break. So if you make $1 million, rather than being taxed on $900,000, you're only taxed on $7,000. $100,000 you sponsored, multiply it by 3, you get 300,000, and you subtract that from the 1 million money is made, and you only get taxed on the 700,000. So technically, it's like you're saving, and I think that's a good idea. And I'm hoping that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis would look into that and do that for sporting entities, whether it's the football, cricket, and of course table tennis. I'm not going to forget table tennis, and also for cultural entities. And to me, that's an excellent cycle. They help the government stepping out and doing more to help develop sports and culture. The sports and culture, they develop more people get into it, more people stay away from crime, especially community festivals. I was part of a group that dealt with the Easter Ram in Sandy Point, and hey, this thing only look easy. So on the outside, there's a lot of work and a lot of restless nights, and especially financially. A lot of times you hear people sponsoring a show. The title sponsor a show, you have to give X amount, but sometimes such as what you get, but the title still get the name of the show. So I'm really encouraging the corporate community to come out and sponsor, whether churches, groups, national associations like the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association. So back to National Bank, I commend you highly for sponsoring the primary school. And this is returning the second year this year. Last year was the first after COVID in 2019. And I must commend the Department of Sports for that. In Newtown, Edgar T. Morris, they went on top 3-0 versus Halliday Smith Primary. And a reminder, Edgar T. Morris, that's in Molyneux, I think, and Halliday Smith, formerly Irish Town. Josiah Finch, Jeshawn Phipps, and Nayari Henry, they put bulges in the old onion bag for Edgar T. Morris. And the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank Giant Mall player of the match was Nayari Henry of Edgar T. Morris. Tucker Clark Primary, they were all over, and Tucker Clark from Newtown, they were all over Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School. And I must compliment Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School. This is the school up behind Dr. William Collar that deals with the students that are challenged physically, otherwise. And for them to be participating, to me, this is something massive. We had Fahim Cave, he had a brace. An own goal came from Cotton Thomas. Of course, they want to be on the score sheet. And Kadik Jeffers and Ilian Giron for Tucker Clark made it 5. Niquandre Hendrickson, the lone goal for Cotton Thomas Comprehensive. Actually, they scored 2 goals then, yeah. And the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank Giant Mall player of the match was Ilian Giron of Tucker Clark Primary School in Boyds. Wow. St. Paul's Primary School, Violet Petty. This is murder. 2 handful. St. Paul's Primary School, 10. Violet Petty, 0. 0. Zap, nada, comb. Why, that's a lot of blows. Zachary Challenger, he had a double brace. That is 4 goals. A brace is 2 goals. The Nasri Harris and Devontae Williams both had braces. And one apiece from Javante Freeman and Kason Jules. 10-0. I know, boy. This ain't right. 10-0, yeah. Man, they should have even scored own goal, make it not look so bad. But anyway, the St. Kitts and Nevis National Bank Giant Mall player of the match was Zachary Challenger of St. Paul's Primary School. Bro, Dr. William Connor, Primary 6, Bronte Welch 1. This is advantageous, man. These schools taking advantage of the wine name. Kalian Johnson, he had a double brace again, 4 goals. And Kemar Clark and Rhea Francis, they put bulges in the old onion bag once. And Brian Sutton, the consolation goal for Bronte Welch. Kalian Johnson of the Dr. William Connor Primary School, he was the St. Kitts and Nevis Anguilla National Bank Giant Mall player of the match. In Newton Ground, Joshua Obadiah. No, man, something wrong with this. I wonder if they didn't turn on the scores. Yeah, I got to investigate this. This ain't look right. Something don't look right at all. Joshua O. Williams Primary versus Sandy Point Primary School. 3-2 is the score. Anybody would think that Sandy Point win by, but Sandy Point get blows. 3-2. 3 Joshua O. Williams, 2 to Sandy Point. We had Raheem Duncan. He put a double bulge in the old onion bag. And Javon Monzak. Those were the goal scorers for Joshua O. Williams Primary School. That's in Tabernacle, I think. Joshua Obadiah Williams. That's Tabernacle, yeah, Taba. And for Sandy Point, Shavas Bergen and Shama Elliott. They netted, while Javon Monzak of the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School. He was the St. Kitts and Nevis Anguilla National Bank Giant Mall Player of the Match. Oh, boy, this is a goal fest happening here, man. Newton Ground Primary 8, George Moody Stewart 2. George Moody Stewart, that's factory school, I think they call it. 8-2. This is a lot of blowers sharing by. Zane Thomas, he had a hat-trick. And 2 goals from Anthony Mulrain and Jamaja Francis, with one coming from Aidan Prentice from Newton Ground. And Aldrian Hanley, he had both goals for George Moody. The SKN National Bank Giant Mall player of the match was Jariq Wharton of George Moody. But this is a lot of primary school football, they can't argue, you know. Sadler's Primary, this is a lot of goals scoring for 10 goals in this game. Sadler's Primary School, Dean Glassford from up Newton, up St. Peter's, 6-4. Sadler's Primary 6, Dean Glassford 4. Javier Keynes, he had a double brace of 4 goals, put 4 bulges in the old onion bag, and 1 apiece from Joel Hanley and Jaziel Slack for Sadler's Primary. While Dean Glassford's goals came from Takel Burrows, who had a brace, 1 from Troy Shiwamba. Of course, Troy got the main things are crazy. And an own goal that came from Sadler's Primary. The St. Kitts and Nevis National Bank German player of the match was Javier Keynes of Sadler's Primary. These guys got me twisting up my tongue, and that ain't really supposed to happen. I don't know why they don't name these children simple names like Troy and Tom and Peter and these sort of things, and Harry and Dick and boy, you're hearing him, you don't even if it's a boy or a girl these days, boy. Where are we now? Beach Allen Primary versus Tyrrell Williams, a niner. 6-3. 6 Beach Allen, 3 Tyrrell Williams. And Tyrrell Williams, that's where that's down in Vorchild. Beach Allen, who are defeated the defending champions. Wow, they give them a 2-1 here, 6-3. So they're all over the defending champions, Tyrrell Williams. Johnny Clark and Dijon Burge, they both scored twice, 1 goal from Elijah Mitchum and a Tyrrell Williams own goal. This own goal thing coming a popular thing, you know. Maybe people walk out, well, I suppose to scoring that goal down there. But since that too far from me and the ball ain't going down there much, I want to get on the score card, so let me score on this goal up here. It makes some sense to me. It's just that you're scoring on your own team. But anyway, where are we? Kurt Finch, Lejean Daniel, and Joshua Drew all scored for Tyrrell Williams Primary. The SKNANB Giant Mall Bank, National Bank, Giant Mall player of the match was Johnny Clark of Beach Allen Primary School. Deep Bay Primary, and this is another goal fest again, man. Deep Bay Primary, nice. Kai Academy, zip, 0, nada, nothing, nil, comb. For Deep Bay, we had, it doesn't make sense saying for Deep Bay the goal scorers because only one team score. Jevion Bradshaw, he had a hat-trick. Justin Pomal, Shamar Johnson, both had 2 goals. Viliquan Martin, 1, and Sky Academy. Yes, man, I agree with Sky Academy. They must get on the referee score sheet. One says own goal, let's score. St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank Giant Mall player of the match was Jevion Bradshaw of Deep Bay Primary. And number 10, Keon Primary. Well, this scoreline make a little more sense, more competitive. Keon Primary 3 versus Morris Hillier Primary. That's the Epworth School up Victoria Road, I think. Morris Hillier 3-1. Keon 3, Morris Hillier 1. For Keon Primary, Judah Prince, he had a double strike, and he was accompanied by Andre Flaherty. While the lone goal for Morris Hillier came for Ashevin Henry. The St. Kitts Nevis Angola National Bank Giant Mall player of the match was Judah Prince of Keon. So those 10 matches took place yesterday, the 20th. We're going to be having the director of sports in here from about 8 o'clock, and he's going to be giving us more information. I'm sure the tables, the points table, who leading, and in both divisions. This is the primary school division. Actually, there's a high school division and an open division. And in my understanding, and he's going to clarify that, the high school division, that is all the high schools playing each other, secondary schools. But the opening division, we have the open division, CFBC is playing with them. So CFBC cannot win the high school competition because they are not there. But though they're playing, their points and the school's points, the high school points, they all go towards the open division. So I'm not certain if AVIC is playing, but I know CFB is playing and they won a game the other day. So they could be champions of the open CFB, open division, and but they cannot win the high school. So in the open division, the CFB were to win, the team that came second, the high school that came second would be the high school champion. And really, one would expect the CFBC to win this easily. Why I say that? They're going to have the creme de la creme of everybody in St. Kitts going to CFBC. The top scholars, top musicians, top football, top sportsmen and women. So when you have the top 2-3 players from SEMS and the top 2-3 players from Keon and Basti High and Washi and all of them go to CFBC. CFBC should have a very powerful team. But that's in theory and that may be on paper. Come the day of the match, that's a different kettle of fish. The ball is round, the field is rectangular. And I also say from a cultural aspect, where the top, well, before I say that, let me precede it with this. I believe CFBC is supposed to have the best steel band in the country. I believe CFBC is supposed to have the best brass band in the country. And why I say that, people who do steel band from, again, Basti High, Washi, Sadlers High, Keon High, Convent or ICCS, SEMS, Vochilds High, all the high schools in St. Kitts, and some from Nevis. When they do music and they get the grade ones, etc., and they were playing pan and they go there, I think CFB supposed to have a steel band. And likewise, band and say music, brass band, I dare say, because I believe all the high schools supposed to really have brass bands. That is something, when I was director of culture, I was working towards. We didn't get around to that. We were pushing the steel band in the school, even down in primary schools. So we were getting there. But when the musicians, the brass and band, where they play keyboards or bass guitar, etc., and those musicians go to CFBC, that's the creme de la creme. So in my humble view, they should form a band as well. And that band, I believe, should be playing for like the Youth Calypso show. And he might even put in an argument, a strong argument to play for the Senior Calypso finals as well. And maybe if they were to bring back the Best of the West and the Female Calypso show, maybe other bands could play for it, or however, whatever system they come up to do it. But that, in my view, CFBC, were they to form a band, I think it'll be one of the best. And I'm talking about a brass band. And I think they should be playing for the Youth Calypso show. But I think the only thing cultural they're doing down there, I don't think they even do dance. I don't think they do drama. They have been doing choral singing, which is an excellent thing. But I believe CFBC need to expand their horizons. But then again, that is just my humble view. But back to the sporting thing, we were talking about the football, and boy, that's a lot of goals. So how much did I add up here? Did I add them up? No. We're talking about 3 and 6, 9, 19. 19 and 6 is 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yes, 25 and 5, that's 30. 30 and 10, that's 40. 40 and 10, that's 50. 50 and 9 is 59. 59 and 9 is 68. 68 and 4, 72 goals. Wow. 72 goals spread across 10 matches, that averaging 7.2 goals a match. This is phenomenal stuff. But hey, I used to be wondering how come our senior footballers throw away so much goals when they're playing Premier Division or First Division. And looking at some of these primary school matches, I understand why. Because the primary school players, these youngsters throw away a lot of goals, simple goals, sitters. And I am thinking, okay, when they go from primary school to high school, secondary school, they continue to throw away goals. So when they go into the community clubs, etc., they continue to throw away goals. So the coaches need to fix that, the scoring ability of the youngsters at the primary school, so they develop good habits when it comes to being in front of the goal and the scoring. I think with the throw away too many goals, if we convert just 5-10%, a lot of goals will score. And yes, how much goals we say just score here? 72 goals. Maybe they throw away 100 and something. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I commend them for scoring so many goals. And talking about football still, there's an Ambassador League that is happening. Ambassador Guinness League, to be more precise, that is happening here in St. Kitts. And it's an over 40 league. And that has been organized by Ambassador Kenny Douglas of Sandy Point, as well as Ambassador Leon Natta out of the large region. And it's an over 40 league. Matches are played on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They started the league a couple weeks ago, and they're actually doing things. 2 games are tonight. We have 2 games tonight. I was up there and I saw them warming up, and these guys got some good jerseys. They're looking good. But it's not about the jerseys, it's about the players. Capistay versus Old School, that's at 7 p.m. And at 8:15 p.m., Legacy Ballers versus Generation Ballers. I don't know if this is the young generation or the old generation or whatever generation. And Thursday, we have at 7 p.m. we're having Sandy Point versus Monkey Hill. 8:15 Molyneux versus CP Legends. And I think part of the rules and the regulations, no tackling, which is beautiful, because these guys who 50, 60, 90, 105, whatever, they can't afford to be going home with broken bones at this stage, because you're going to take maybe 150 years, and maybe not so much, maybe 105 for them to heal at this age. So Ambassador Kenny Douglas and Ambassador Leon, I commend you guys highly, not only for having this league, but also for that no challenge. And once we're lucky, they should be on the program next week, Tuesday, God's Spear. And we're going to be having the points as well to date for who beat who. I know Sandy Point lost to Molyneux, and I really wonder about that. I wonder if Molyneux ever beat Sandy Point in the regular season. Well, Molyneux has never ever been to the Premier Division, but hey, I said it last year. If I had to select a football team of the year, First Division, Premier Division, I'll select Molyneux. Something I keep in Molyneux. Molyneux over the years, they've been coming rock bottom last. It was a tight thing between them and especially Newton Ground. Whoever win the game, draw goal difference, 1 come 10, 1 come 9. But last year, Molyneux came 6th, middle of the table in the First Division. Because they used to lose a lot of matches by default. They only got 5 and 6 players, and then they got a full team, but they get 7 and 8 and 13-0. But hey, I think Molyneux prevented somebody, was it Sadlers, from getting into the playoffs for the First Division Championship, you know. So Kevin Williams, he has been the coach over the years, and his thing was always youth. So, hey Kevin, I tip my hat to your coach. And it'll work. Whatever he's doing, it is working. And Molineux gone from the bottom thing to mid-table. And I expect Molineux to be in the Final Four this year. I don't know what's going to happen up there with them in the first division, the Final Four, but I expect them. I expect that improvement to continue and expect them to go into the Final Four. I didn't say it. 4660989, that's the line if you want to call in to say hi, hello, share your view, ask a question, make a contribution, 4660989. Or you can send a WhatsApp to me, 668-2055. Or, of course, if you're not in St. Kitts and Nevis, prefix that by 869-668-2055. And even if you want to call into the program and you're overseas, you can call me on WhatsApp, 869-668-2055, and we'll be able to hook you up and you can go live. So, Kevin, he is there. So, where were we now? We were going to talk about the games. We talk about the upcoming games on Thursday, and we're going to work to get some results for you for those games that have gone before. And let's take a quick peek at the games that have gone before. Where are they? Where are they? And like I said, Molineux gave Sandy Point. Boy, I can't get over that. When the league started on Sunday the 28th, Generation Ballers, they played Old School. CP Legends played Newtown. Thursday the 24th, Sandy Point, Molineux. That's last week. Thursday. Boy, I grieve him about that, boy. Molineux beat Sandy Point 3-2. Monkey Hill and St. Paul. St. Paul's, I know they gave Monkey Hill a 2-0. I think George Yellowman Isaac in fine form. He netted twice. Tonight at 7 p.m. we have St. Paul's versus Old School. And all the games are played in Warner Park, in case you're wondering. And Newtown coming up against Generation Ballers at 8:15. Next week, Thursday, Sandy Point versus Monkey Hill at 7. Molineux versus CP Legends at 8:15. And the following Tuesday 5th, Newtown versus Molineux and Generation Ballers versus St. Paul's. The league goes all the way down to the regular season goes down to December the 5th. Thursday, December 5th. And then we get into the semifinals. Number 1 play number 4, number 2 play number 3. The third and fourth playoff going to be Sunday the 15th at 7 p.m. with the championship match between Sandy Point and whoever, I don't know, on Sunday the 15th at 8 p.m. So third and fourth, Sunday the 15th at 7, 8:15. The winner 1 versus winner 2 in the semifinals. So that's going to be Sandy Point, and I don't know the other team, but it's going to be Sandy Point and whoever in the finals. Well, no, let me take back that. It's going to be Sandy Point defeating whoever in the finals. So Sandy Point Vets going to walk away with the championship, and we're going to take it to SP where they best be. And I have a question here. Strangely enough, I was on a bus today when I was coming up to Basti, and I was asked that question, and I really don't know. And the question is about the Kim Collins Stadium. Will it be ready for inter-school next year? What I can say to the person who WhatsApp me, thanks very much for the WhatsApp. And again, you can send your WhatsApp to 668-2055. I understand work has started up there on the Kim Collins Stadium. I'm not certain. I haven't seen it. I plan to go up there for myself so I could come back and say definitely yes, work has started. I have seen it. If it's going to finish in time, of course, I'm not into that sort of business, so I wouldn't know. I'm not certain when it's the deadline to complete it, what they're working on. But yes, thanks again to the person who sent the WhatsApp. And I understand that work has started up there. I am not certain how advanced the work is, but again, I'll have to confirm whether or not that is true. I am not certain at all. Thank you for your question. So where were we going? We're going to take a break just now, and we should have Mr. Pedro come into the studio anytime just now. He's going to be in about 8. And, Sandy Point isn't playing tonight. I think he's playing for Sandy Point. I heard when he playing, they had to go rub him down with all kind of bush. Lizard would jump up and kiss me. Strongman bush. I don't know. When he come, we're going to ask him. Way back when we used to use Bengay and we used to use Canadian oil and shilling oil and all these kind of oil and heat and hot rub and things like that. See, it's amazing when you're going to a football dressing room them days and all them different fragrances of all these muscle relaxers and introducing warmth to the muscles, boy. I don't know, boy. And let me knock wood. I don't know if I should say I used to goalkeep. I used to stand up under the crossbars and I used to save a goal or two. And now and then some lollipop going on me. And I've had some broken fingers. One of my fingers here is kind of twisted. It's the third finger on the right hand, I think. Some ball come in and he knock it in. And I've suffered some sprained ankles, but the only serious injury I've had, so to speak, was I tore my ligaments in my right knee in 1992. Wow, that's the most pain I've ever been in my life. And I rested it up and I came back strong. I was doing a lot of things. I played football in England. I played cricket in England. And by the way, England was the only place I ever make a half century, 83 not out and 55 me not out. And it's the only place I ever hit a 6 in my life. And if they had carried back the boundary, I always say I weak bad. If I carry back the boundary about 3 inches, the 6 would have been a 4. That's how you barely make it over the boundary. But back in 2002 when I was working cable and wireless, I was playing some basketball. We had an interdepartment basketball. Playing on concrete. I didn't have the appropriate shoes. And I was an ounce or two heavier than I should have been. And I think that aggravated it. And from that day, I've never really gotten fully on top of the injury. So that's the most serious as opposed to broken bones. But we're going to have a break now. We already have Mr. Pedro Hazel in the studio. He is on time. He is early. We welcome him. And let's take a break and we'll be right back. And again, 4660989. That's the number to call. Or you can send me a WhatsApp, 668-2055. Or you can call me as well, 668-2055. And we'll take your calls here on WINN FM 98.9 on the ball. Stick and stay. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. Welcome back to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. I am Troy Bif Mills, your host, and of course, On the Ball, a program where we talk all sports. We just don't give you the stats and the facts. We discuss things. On the Ball is a program that informs you, it educates you, let you know what is happening. That's the information. Educates you, tell you things about cricket and football you may not know, what is an offside and things like that, and who get injured and who get rubbed down. And of course, we talk to national associations, individuals, athletes, administrators, officials. At some point, we're going to have Mr. Grammy Brown. He's the head of refereeing for St. Kitts and Nevis. We're going to have him here in the studio at some point. We're also going to be having next week Ambassador. We're hoping, let me take back that, we're hoping to have, they're playing football next week. That's why they hope. There's a doubleheader next week. And of course, Ambassador Douglas, he plays for Sandy Point, and Ambassador Leon Natter plays as well. I believe they're young, and then perhaps they should go referee. I don't know. And so we bring people in here to talk about what's happening, what's the observation. And we have a few topics to touch. We have some swimming, hopefully creating that tonight. Cricket, of course, we got to get in some cricket, netball. But right now, we're with the Department of Sports. So we're going to go to Studio 2, live Studio 2. And we have, well, there are actually 3 people in there. There are 2 gentlemen and a young lady, but the young lady is shy. She's just like me. She's just like me. She's shy. She's afraid the media, but I shy, but when I got something to do, I do it. And so we have a little situation here that we, before we go to them, we're just trying to figure it out here. We actually have our guests in studio. And I remind you, 4660989 is the number to call in case you want to make a point, ask a question, share suggestion, share concern. 668-2055. That's also my number if you're going to call WhatsApp. You could call direct if you're having any challenge, and we'll be able to connect you. And because it's all about you, really. And let us go live to Studio 2 and say good evening to, well, there are 2 gentlemen there and 1 lady, but like I said, the lady is very shy. A very beautiful lady, but extremely shy. And well, she like me. I don't know if she come from SP where the best be too. But, I mean, I can't convince nobody I shy, but I shy bad. I really shy bad. But let's go Studio 2. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to WINN FM 98.9 On the Ball.
Good evening, Mr. Mills, and to the listening public. Quite a pleasure again to be back in the studios On the Ball. Like you indicated, we are from the Department of Sports. I'm Jeffrey Hazel, the Director of Sports. And with me is Nevada Blanchard, who is our media communication officer. And I also have Maritza Williams, track and field coordinator.
Thanks a lot for coming, folks. Of course, you're no longer stranger, Mr. Director. We've had you here basically every quarter for the year because a partnership we want to develop with the Department of Sports, where you come in and you tell us what you are doing for the quarter, what you have done and things like that, and what we could expect for you. But I empathize with you. I was telling the folks before you came on here 2 things. 1, that you were part of the Sandy Point team that got a licking from Molineux last week, 3-2. And 2, because you played this game 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, a long time you ain't trained, I understand that they have to rub you down and ban you up with all kind of lizard bush and jump up and kiss me and strongman bush and things like that.
I think the young people won't know about those medical herbs, so that's a history lesson for them. But I'm okay. I think it was a very good game and a very good initiative that has been organized by ambassadors Kenneth Douglas and Leon Natter Nelson. Having players who are 40 and older, players of yesteryear coming back to play now, when a lot of folks probably would not have seen them play in their heyday. And so now they're back playing. We just left the park with a match being played, the Capisphere Legends versus Old School out of the Old Road Virtuals area. And again, some of these players are players who we are familiar with, especially older folks. And it's a packed park. It's, seating room basically is non-existent. Having drove down Victoria Road, there's no parking space, and I was told that Bastia High School, the old Bastia High School, as well, is almost filled to capacity. So the matches are being played every Tuesday and Thursday evening from 7 p.m. They're 1-hour matches. Part of the interesting thing is that anyone who tackles automatically gets a red card. So you miss that remainder of the game and the upcoming game. But because players are 40 and older, once that player is red carded, then another player can replace him. So far the games are going well. And like I said, there's another match this evening, Legacy Ballers out of the Newtown area, coming up against Generation Ballers from the McKnight Village area.
I saw a bit of the game last week, Thursday, when Sandy Point took on a whipping. SP were the best, we took on a whipping from Molineux. And again, why I've been sleeping well since that, because no disrespect to Molineux, I don't recall Molineux ever beating Sandy Point in the first division. Molineux has never played in the Premier. Notwithstanding, I think Molineux, in my humble view, was the most improved team last year, because they were coming last at the bottom, losing matches by default and thing, but they were able to come mid-table. They were 6th last year. And I was pretty much impressed. Well, when I was going down, I said, why? There's a lot of cars here. What's going on? There's a lot of vehicles on Victoria Road. And when I went into the park, I don't think in my pocket to take out. I said, well, I believe it's about $5, $10. I was with Noah, and we going in, so I put in my hand to pay it. And they searched me, and they said, no, go ahead. So I said, what's the cost? I said, no, I think the man forget to take the money. He said, no fee. And when I went in, the amount of people I see in there, I said, boy, this more than what we got for the Premier Division and things like that. And the quality of football I enjoy, the passing and things like that. Notwithstanding one of the strikers for Sandy Point, as I mentioned on here, he had the goal, empty goal to his right, the goalkeeper in front of him, and he kicked the ball to the left. I don't know, well, not once, twice. I don't know how he get it, but thanks for the welcoming and being here. Mr. Nevada, good evening. How are you, sir? Welcome.
Good. I'm all right. Enjoying myself here. First time being on radio. I'm a little nervous, but nevertheless, glad to be here. Talk about sports. Sports is like the engine of life. So
definitely, and we do appreciate that. Football happening right now. Primary school and secondary school, high school, and the Open. Tell us about those, please.
Well, we're actually having several competitions right now.
Sorry, and netball.
Netball.
I was up there when the referees were cheating off Sandy Point versus Bastia High.
Referees don't cheat.
I was up there. I was only kidding. Bastia High was, when I left, it was like 4-0, 3-0, 4-0 Bastia High. They were all over Sandy Point. But I enjoyed, and then Washi was taking care of business 4-0. And this was the first quarter against Virtuals, I think it is.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed it. And the way the crowds went, the players went on, you could have swear the park full. So I know you have a lot of things going on. Tell us about them.
Yeah, well, we did have the opening ceremony about 2 weeks ago for the football tournament. the primary school football tournament that is sponsored by the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank, and the secondary school / tertiary schools competition that is sponsored by Jones Group of Companies. Interestingly though, what has changed from last year when it comes to football is that we are no longer playing in zones. Last year for the primary school we played in 3 zones, and the top 2 teams from each zone along with the 2 best second place teams advanced to the quarterfinals. This year we have 2 zones, one of 10 teams and one of 11. Back in the competition with us this year, Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School and the Sky Academy. So we have a full house basically. 21 out of the 22 schools in St. Kitts, primary schools in St. Kitts, are competing in the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank Primary School Championships. So on any given day, we play the matches on Mondays and Thursdays around the island, and we have 10 matches per day. And just going through the calculations a few minutes ago, yesterday some 72 goals were scored between those 10 matches. The reason for taking them around the island really was to bring back the fans, the parents, to the games. So these matches commence at 3:30 and 4:30 on Mondays, and on Thursdays, because school finishes a bit earlier than usual, we start at 3 p.m., 3 and 4 p.m. Last Thursday was a very good day for us as well. We would have played 8 matches in one venue. So 8 matches, we played those in Saddlers. We had 4 fields set up and 4 matches playing at one time. So that was very good for us. And the idea was to have, all of the student athletes in one area, doing it for the sponsors, branding the venue, getting more persons out from the communities so that they can support these young men and women. And so that tournament has been going pretty well so far. I think there are a few undefeated teams. For example, Beach Allen is one of those undefeated teams. We have Gateway Primary, who is another undefeated team. We also have Newton Ground Primary, Joshua Obadiah Williams, who are doing pretty well. And I must say though that the so-called small schools, the schools with a small population, are doing pretty well as well in this competition. Surprisingly to us though is that some of the larger schools, for example, Tucker Clark Primary, currently are not doing well.
And Sandy Point Primary. And this happens annually because, some of the players would move on to the secondary schools. So they would lose some of the better players, per se. For example, yesterday, Beach Allen defeated the defending champions, Tyrrell Williams, I think was 5 or 6-3.
Yeah, 6-3, and that was a very interesting game. I wish we could have really recorded that game because them boys was really running some ball back and forth.
The other thing that we are doing in this competition, and it's not to demoralize young people. Once you reach 10 goals, we continue the game, but we stop counting the goals. So goals can accumulate, but we don't count them after 10. It must be by 10 clear goals for us to stop counting. Like I said, the fan base, it has been growing. Yesterday I was in Boyd's, and I couldn't believe when I got to Boyd's the number of cars that were outside the venue. And when I got inside, people sitting on the bleachers, people around the field, supporting the teams. And that is what we want. We want to know that these young children, boys and girls, they have the support of the parents, of the communities in which the school serves, and we can only go from strength to strength with this program. When it comes to the secondary schools, we have in the under 14 category, all of the secondary schools in the federation participating. And again, these matches are played on Fridays. We're not going to have matches this Friday. We brought them forward to Thursday because of the midterm break that the schools are having. And again, we move these games around the island so that they can get the support. We are going to be in Keon on Thursday, in Sadlers at the Gardens, and again, a match is going to be played in Nevis. So every match day, a match is played in Nevis because, we want to have that harmonious relationship with our brothers and sisters in Nevis. And it's the same thing that happens right now for the open competition. All of the secondary schools are participating, inclusive of the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College and AVEC. And those two schools, Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College and AVEC, they do not have any avenue to play this sport. And so we could not disenfranchise them. So in the open competition, again, there are two competitions really. You have the open competition that includes AVEC and CFBC, and then you have the high school component. So the high school can win both championships. CFBC and AVEC can only win one. And again, the games are going pretty well again. We look at the score line again once we reach 10 because we don't want to demoralize teams. And, we're happy for the support so far. Every Saturday, every Wednesday and Saturday, these matches are played around the island and in Warner Park, and the support has been tremendous. As a matter of fact, when it comes to Saturday matches in the park is literally filled with people. We were in Keon on Saturday. We try to move around as well to give the moral support, not only to the teams, but to the referees and the other officials who are on these games. And each game has a maximum of 3-4 officials. So we are serious about what we're doing. We're very, very serious about what we're doing. And we made that very clear at the opening ceremony held at Warner Park about 2 weeks ago.
That's very interesting, and I like the idea that when you have 21 of the 22 schools competing, especially Cotton Thomas. And I had to put that in perspective when I gave the results earlier, that Cotton Thomas is a school for children who are challenged physically and otherwise. So for them to be participating, that's wonderful. There was Department of Culture back then would have had a drumming program, and you had students who were deaf drumming.
Yes.
And I was amazed, and yes, the physics of it, they feel the vibration to the thing, and they're able to play in harmony with that. But for them to participate in, that's a big thing. And of course, there's blind football and blind cricket.
Yes.
I'd like to see a blind game, really, cricket. But that is something that it tells them that, hey, you're one of us. It's not us and them or you. It's a we. And I like that. The other thing I like is playing in Nevis. There are something like, 5, 6, 7 primary schools in Nevis, 2 high schools, 2, 3 high schools. I think they're 1 or 2.
I think they're about 10 schools, 10 primary schools in Nevis, and the 3 secondary schools. However, Nevis International, they do not participate in these tournaments as yet.
So matches are played. Any teams from St. Kitts are playing those teams in Nevis?
Yes. All of the schools, most of the schools will get an opportunity to play in Nevis.
And they'll come down as well?
And they'll come down. So we cater for that. We have a ferry service provider who is particularly sponsoring that as well, Apple Cider, and we want to say kudos to Apple Cider for this phenomenal job that they're doing in terms of transporting the student athletes to and from St. Kitts.
You cheat. You look at my paper because that's the question I was going to ask you. How you work out that, especially with the background, that's a challenge with Bath in our National Football League. Bath Village out of Nevis playing in the Premier. They have just a handful of games that are played in Nevis, and they've been screaming and things. I wanted to know. I was excited to know how you fixed that, but you've mentioned that.
Yes, I think for us, when we sat down to really formulate what we are going to be doing, and you had you have to create a package that is attractive to all of the schools. So last year, as I indicated some time ago when I was here, is that we provided all the uniforms for all of the schools to play in. This year, we want to step it up a bit more. We have not unveiled a lot of the things that we have in store because some of them are still we are still in negotiation with a few of them. But for example, Apple Cider would have came back on board, and we thank them for that. We are now discussing with a medical supplier who would be able to supply medical equipment for first aid to the competitions. So we hopefully would have that finalized by next week. We are discussing right now with a water company again who want to provide water for the student athletes. And we got a call last year during the competition and asked why we did not reach out to Caribbean to be on board. And we said, we had another beverage sponsor that was providing that for us, and that was Andrew Stewart Trill, and we want to thank them for their contributions they would have made to the tournaments last year. But this time around, Caribbean made sure that they were very much involved and they're on board as the beverage sponsor now. And I might say for the man of the match, for the primary school matches, each primary school match, they receive a case of Giant Malt. For the under 14 competition, they receive a case of Pear Jello. And for the open competition, they receive a case of Jinxin.
You frightened me. I was hoping you don't say case of beers.
No. So Caribbean, they have come on in a big way, and we would have been negotiating on some other things that they want to do for the tournaments next year, primarily the under 17 male tournament. So there's some more information that are going to be rolled out, and we're not going to stop until we reach the level that we really want to reach. I must say now that we have been speaking with Sportsmax as well, because we see around the region teams, competitions in Jamaica, in Trinidad, in Grenada, for example, are shown on Sportsmax on a regular basis. And so we've started communicating with them to let them know, listen, we want to have our competitions as well shown on Sportsmax. Or even when you're doing your program at afternoons, we want our highlights to be shown on Sportsmax as well. And these competitions, they provide avenues for the student athletes, for the coaches. Last year, in the under 17 competition, for example, 6 young men who were scouted by Phoenix Academy out of Jamaica and are now residing, attending school and playing in Jamaica. 1 or 2 of them were signed recently to play for a Premier Division outfit, which speaks volume.
Exactly.
It means we have an abundance of talent here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And if we can create an opportunity for them right now, for them to be scouted, for them to be seen, so be it. And the same things are happening for coaches, the teachers, our coaches in the Department of Sports. Whatever opportunity we can assist them with in educating themselves, we are on board in doing so.
That is important, and we had the parents here on the ball for the children who went off to Phoenix in Jamaica, and that is tremendous news. And to me, this is a real opportunity for the other youngsters. This is something that has developed from within their program, so it encourages them, it motivates them to work towards that. Mr. Blanchard, the media officer, I am getting the impression that you have a wide media system, because I was able to look at an item and saw the results of 10 games from all around the island with the goal scorers and things like that. How challenging is it for you and your team to be getting these results and disseminating them, which is, of course, important because parents love to hear the children name on the radio, and children love to hear the children name on the radio. But not only that, I could recall way back when, and I used cricket, for example. Listening to radio, sports radio, back then you'll hear in the news primary school cricket, and you'll hear about the Shane Jefferses and the Terrence Wards and the Carey from out the Tabernacle, and these guys, the Dylans, Liddies in Sandy Point, even at the primary school performing. So you would expected to see of them coming on later on, and they went on to make the national team and leewards. So I'm thinking it's a similar thing with this, the football, as the director mentioned, going off to Phoenix. So how challenging it is to, one, get this information, accurate information, and disseminate it.
Well, you know, the current team is primarily me alone doing all the graphics, doing all the videos. So everything is in is really me getting that out. But I still have to, you know, show my appreciation and thanks to the coordinators, the game secretaries that have been out in these fields. You know, they'll send me the information, and I'll try to compile that and, get it out as efficient and accurate as I can. We still have some challenges. I mean, we're not perfect. So right now we're just trying to iron out and straighten out some more things. So at least as we progress more into the game, the tournament, everything is more accurate, everything is more precise, everything is more, pleasing for the fans, for you, for different media, for the outside viewers. So, I mean, it's challenging. I mean, if I was to give it a rating, I'd say about 7 in terms of
7 out of 20 or 7 out of 30?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Okay. And
could be improved, but
that is a key thing, because I find in the Caribbean, not just St. Kitts and Nevis, in the Caribbean, and more so in St. Kitts, I'm not too certain about Nevis, but as we're a federation, I'll say St. Kitts and Nevis. We could do a much better job, 1, researching, 2, recording information, and 3, filing. Because I guarantee if I were to call the Cricket Association today and say your last tournament you had, who are the top 5 wicket takers, I don't believe that information will be readily at the fingertips if it's available. I suspect something similar. Yes, there's the website and you can go on, and I believe a lot of websites need to be more user-friendly. I'm not supposed to be going on a website, searching up and down, looking for something and get frustrated and turn off. As the website, in my view, I almost think it, and I'm seeing something to tell me where to go. So what plans do you have of having that archive of information and having it be accessible to parents 50 years from now, when they want to tell their grandchildren, hey, let's pull up this. This is what your great-grandfather was playing when he scored a hat-trick or 4 goals.
All right.
I don't know if I'm putting the director on the spot by asking.
No. I mean, I could kind of answer that, and the director can jump on board from there. But right now we have a website that we are trying to populate information as we go. And as I said, it's only me one really trying to, get that information there. So it's a bit slow here and there, but over time the goal will be that you can, go on my website and you find any sort of information, not just from today, but from years back. Because there's a lot of information, a lot of content there still that needs to get out that, person could look back on. So the website, is up. It's just for us to, continue, add more content as we go along into them. And like I said, hopefully after this tournament, we could expect at least more increase in terms of persons working in the media communication unit for the sports department. So, but for now, we just got to use the limited resources we have at the best as we can and work from there.
I must commend the government for allowing the sports department to have their own media communication officer, whatever the title is, responsible for getting out information. The SKNIS, they do an excellent job in my view. However, I believe they focus a lot on bigger projects, capital projects as it were, of the government. So these little smaller projects by the Department of Sports and Department of Agriculture, etc., and creative economy, they may go unnoticed and they may fall through the crack because there isn't that person. I remember when I was the director of culture, one of the first persons I wanted to get on staff was a communications officer, because we felt that Kittians and divisions didn't quite understand what culture is, what it's all about, what we do at culture, the impact they have. Because a lot of things is being done, other things are being done, pardon me, on culture, and nothing is getting out. So I really commend the government for having that vision to have you and you, Mr. Pedro, director, having it, sorry, Mr. Hazel, having the vision to have, hey, sports is an active part. Let us have a media officer in there. You're listening to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. We have with us in the studios the Department of Culture, the director, Mr. Jeffrey Hazel, and Mr. Blanchard, the media officer. They're accompanied by a pom-pom girl, but she's too shy to come on the air. But it's a pleasure having them. And again, 4660989, that's the number to call, or you can WhatsApp me, 668-2055. You can call WhatsApp if you care to, and the same number, 668-2055. You mentioned earlier, Mr. Director, you have a few competitions going, a few things happening. We touched the football. What is happening at the moment?
Yes, before I go there, Mr. Mills, let me just go back to something
My
that
apologies, of course.
Nevada was just discussing about our media and communication area. When we started a few years ago, we had an idea of creating what we coined RAD unit, Research Archive and Documentation Unit. And this was really to research sports, to have it readily available so that anybody who wanted information on any competitions that we were doing or anything sports-wise in the federation will be able to have that. And so we've created a database with the support and assistance of the IT department. We worked along with the website design as well with them. We went out and we created some shows, one called iPlay, which is really to sensitize the general public that we use these facilities for various activities, whether it be for sports, competition, but people on a whole use them. And so it's important for us as the users to ensure that vandalism doesn't occur. And then we did one where we looked at inside the sport itself, having interviews with persons who would have contributed to sports development, whether it be a player, a mentor, an official, an administrator. And those are things that we want to bring back again. As he said, it's a bit slow in coming because we have all of these competitions right now. We can't neglect the other responsibilities that we have. But we like to set targets. So a realistic target is that this is what we are going to do by December 31st. So January 1st, be rolling out all of these things. Right? So it is important for us to have that communication. Sports is a big business, very, very big business. And we only do a little piece of it here in the Federation. But if we can expound on what we do, we can do a lot more for everybody to benefit. You mentioned what has been happening also in terms of the schools competition. Last Thursday we launched the high schools netball championship, the under 14 and the open category. And similar to what we said about football, 7 schools in the under 14 and we have 9 in the open. And again, matches are being played in both St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a sponsor who is on board with us, Powerade and Desani. They're on board with us to sponsor these 2 competitions, and I want to thank them for coming on board and really supporting what we're doing. And I also want to thank our secretary, because the people behind the scenes who we consider our unsung heroes, they're not really recognized, but she has been the one communicating and really pressing and getting them to come on board with us. So our secretary, Antoinette. I want to thank her publicly for the work that she has been doing in that regard.
That is indeed wonderful. I was at the park this afternoon and I was looking at the two games. And there's a young lady for Basti High, Alefanda, the wing attack. Boy, she got a powerful left arm. And when she throw the ball, you're either going to get it or you're going to pass you, beat you with pace. And when I left, the score was 3-0 in favor of Basti High School. And I think Washi was 4-0, and that might have been at the end of the half or the quarter or the half. Are they playing quarters or are they playing halves?
Quarters.
They're playing, okay.
They're 4 quarters.
And I like the fact that there were some teachers supporting them, they were parents, because I believe parents going out and supporting children means a lot. Even if you only spend 5 minutes. Ideally, if you spend the entire duration of the game, they'll love it. But even if you spend 5 minutes and they know you're there, to me, it augurs well for the netballers. And of course, these young ladies, they're going on to represent the under 23. As a matter of fact, I know they are on their age categories, on the 11, 13, 15, etc., etc., and they travel occasionally, leading up to the national team.
Correct.
And I think it's very important to have these structures in place. And there are some standout players, and you look at it, and I understand it, and I commend the coaches, your netball coaches, for going around to these schools and working with them to have some children probably never play any sports in their life. And you see them participating, and they're having fun. They may not look the most athletic, they may not look the most technical, but they're playing with all heart.
Correct.
And I really like to see them, so I must commend you and your department for this program. And I remember last term, you had cricket going as well. Yes,
cricket and in the primary school, cricket in the secondary school, and primary school netball.
So I really like the program. But apart from these that are on now, what programs do you have coming up for the balance of the quarter, if any?
Well, for the rest of the quarter, we have something that it's probably going to be the first time that we are doing, and it's going to be a cross-country event.
Wow.
Where we are inviting all of the schools in the federation to participate. We have never done it before, but we've realized, and having discussed with Maritza, the track and field coordinator, I was on television, and I said, but we can do this. We can do this. And I knew that there was some nationals who were in college doing cross country, and it's something that we can build upon. There are a lot of scholarships available in the US for persons who are doing cross country, and I said, listen, we have to get cross country on the calendar as a precursor to next year's athletic meets. And so we jumped on board with that. I think it's slated for the 8th of December. We are going to be sending out all of the information next week with regard to the cross-country championships to be held here for the first time.
That is wonderful, and I think the sporting community is really advancing here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We had some swimmers. They just went off, 7 of them, I think, and they placed 5th. Not swimmers, sorry, sailors. They placed 5th. And we had some youngsters, 13-year-old, some little children going on, which augurs well for them. And from a table tennis point of view, we are hoping to get to that level. And we are setting ourselves a target that come the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
Representation.
Yes. We want table tennis to really feature. It may not be then, it may be 2032 God's way, but we need to start now. And as part of that program, we are having an ITTF MA activity that's going to be running from the 29th of November to the 9th of December. 5 days would be level 1 coaching course, and we're hoping that the Department of Sports, as we discussed, will have a few coaches available on that. And then the other 5 days will be a table tennis camp. We're making provisions for 30 coaches from St. Kitts and Nevis, not just regular clubs, but coaches from the sports department in St. Kitts and Nevis as well. And then 5 days camp for another 30 children between the ages of 8 up to about 16. And the coaches, as part of their mandatory road to certification, they have to implement the coaching with these children. And we are going to be having a talent ID in Nevis come the weekend before that in November. And it's the first time we are having the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association having that. And we want to get to the level where we have a primary school table tennis championship, a high school, a similar model like what you're having. And we said even if we have two students from a school, one student from a school, he or she must participate. And let's use one. If you have one from Sandy Point Primary, one from, I don't know, Kean Primary, the two of them will form up to make a team to play doubles.
Yes.
Because we have to get the children involved. And it pains to see so many children now. The activity is the phone or the tablet. It pains me. When I remember we used to, summertime we go home, my mother wake up in the morning, 7 o'clock we gone out the house. We ain't coming back until 6 in the night. She puts her head out the door. Peter, yes, mommy? She tell you, come here. Sometimes you ain't going to just continue playing.
Yes.
And we have lost that. And I'm remembering Dr. Martin said a few years ago that we, St. Kitts and Nevis, we were, in terms of the list of obesity in the world, we were
very high.
Very, very high.
Very high.
Especially our children. And the activities, sports, that's a way to really disseminate it. And I've said, Director, when I was at Culture, if the government were to give the Department of then Culture and Creative Economy now $1 million and give the Department of Sports $1 million, I'm certain between us that we'll be able to cut the budget for national security by about 5, 6, 7, 8, $10 million.
National security and health.
Exactly. Because once we start these programs in the preschools, in the primary schools, etc., we are bringing about a healthy lifestyle of the children, and we're helping to building the capacity.
But that's a very important point you've made, and I concur. And with our current tournament as well, we've spoken with the National Crime Intervention Team to have them there at these events, these matches, because you can just sit down and have a casual conversation with persons in the stands. You know, tell me about crime. What are your thoughts about crime? What strategies you think we can implement? Because that's where the information is. It lies within the persons who are sitting right there, and not necessarily a man who has on a tie and a pin-up shirt. But we have to get that information. And if they're in a setting where we have a sport event occurring, there's a high possibility that no crime would be happening in a specific area. So it's really to capture not only the athletes, but also fans who are going to be there looking at these matches. And so, you know, as you indicated, we're getting people playing on a regular basis. Look at this over 40 football match. Now, if this continues, it means these players are going to be training regularly now. So the non-communicable disease that might have been associated with them or those participating in the competition would just decrease. And so this is what we want across the board in the country. You spoke about the sailing team that just went to St. Martin. Can we expound on that here in the country and bring that competition here? What is it all about? Sports tourism. It's getting people here, heads in beds because of sports and using our facilities. So sport is a big thing. It's a serious thing. It touches every facet of life. If you're having a World Cup cricket match next year in the country, what happens? Development. The roads are going to be fixed. The hospital is going to be fixed. The stadium is going to be fixed. And the internet, everything is going to be upgraded because of sport. And this is what I always say, sport is about development. not just development of the student athlete or those persons participating, but the nation on a whole.
I like that. And well, we winding down. Time flying away when you're having fun. You're listening on the ball here, WINN FM 98.9. It is our pleasure to have with us the Director of Sports, Mr. Jeffrey Hazel, and his media officer, Mr. Nevada Blanchard, talking to us the activities for Q4 of 2024. Before you came, Mr. Director, a question was asked, and I think it may have been in two. It was a two. For two reasons. One, my view on the matter, what I know, and perhaps to ask you, Kim Collins, the repairs and preparation of Kim Collins for the 2025 TDC High School Championship.
Yes, Kim Collins. Kim Collins has been a project that we really wanted to do some work early on, but the project has started. The contractors, Regapal out of Germany, they were awarded a contract, and we have a local company that are currently working at the stadium, Sorry Paving, to mill the track. It has been done already, so now they're looking at setting up the drainage because some of the drainage would have been damaged. Currently, we are trying to get some of the aggregate to be used there because we do not have it available right now, and some of the pipes that are available for drainage. So those are going to be in hopefully by the end of this month or the first 2 weeks in next month before the track can really be laid.
Pedro, come a bit to you, right?
So yes, the Kim Collins Stadium, it will be ready for the athletic season next year. I won't say this evening that it's going to be ready for January because there can be some challenges that occur, some issues that occur, but definitely it will be ready for, as you indicated, the TDC Inter-School Championships, the Rams Primary Championships.
That is indeed excellent news. You know, the funny thing about that, Mr. Director, for years, decades, I've been saying it would have been nice for there to have been one day at least of the TDC High School Track and Field Championship held in Nevis. Because we've had Charlestown coming down, we've had Gingerland coming down for this thing going on for like 40 plus years.
Yes, sir.
And they've been coming down for probably 30 plus years, if not the 40 plus. So I think, and since we were doing 3 days back then, I think that has been increased to 4. And when we were doing 3 days, I was thinking, man, carry a day.
Yes.
So I applauded the effort to carry it to Nevis last year, notwithstanding the reasoning.
Yes.
And I think it was something, it was just tremendous in my view. And the support I gathered may not have been to the extent that it was down here for various reasons, but I'm certain that it was an experience in itself just going there. And I hope the St. Kitts and Nevis Athletics would consider at least still having one day of the 3-day event, whether it's the Friday, I don't know, in Nevis, because you're building this sport not only here in St. Kitts, but in Nevis as well.
Correct. Yes,
And
correct.
you have to have the involvement, just like how you're playing some of the games, your primary school games in Nevis, just like how the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association is having a talent ID in Nevis. And over the years, we have had challenges with Nevisions getting into the national team for whatever reason or reasons. I think we have perhaps getting closer to a formula with that, because especially something like football, Bath is playing, so it's easier to see Bath players and pick them and things like that. So we can't never forget our brothers and sisters over in Nevis. And before we ask you for your final words, there's a question I'm going to ask you to comment on. I don't know what would be your position. Some time ago, last year I think it was, there was a talk going around with the impending St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association elections due by next year, August I think it is. There was a talk going around about the possibility of you throwing in your hat in the ring for the candidacy of the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association. Are you in a position to comment on that, sir?
You know, we're about football and football development, and we've been approached. I've been approached about it. to consider myself being a candidate for the presidency of the SKNFA in the upcoming elections. It is something that is still being considered, and for a decision to be made, you have to be sure that you're going into something to win it, not just going in to participate. And so the team is working, doing its groundwork to ensure that when the final decision is made, it is made with a lot of confidence. And so that will be done shortly. You'll hear something official very, very shortly. And then we can move on it to whether or not I am in. If I am in, yes, to fully campaign. If I am not in, is to support whoever is in. And we see what happens. Now, I have to be very careful with the decision that I make, because I'm currently the director of sports, and I don't want anyone to feel that I have any ill will against anyone in football, in cricket, whatever sport it is. We're there as professionals to do a job, and our job has to be done to the best of our abilities.
Indeed.
And so whatever decision is made, it would be made with conviction, and I'm sure it would be well supported by the general public, by the clubs, by whomever are involved.
You sound like a tremendous politician. Very well answered, sir. I don't think I could have done as good a job as you said that. But the mere fact that and competition is good.
Yes.
Because at no point should any entity running the affairs of any organization, any country, really be comfortable that all is well.
I agree.
And that is why we'll have oppositions and people contend in elections. In some cases, it's just the two persons going up against the incumbent. In some cases, they've had quite a few.
Yes.
And things like that. And strangely enough, I was extremely surprised at this. I didn't realize it happened still. Earlier this month, the middle of the month, I went to a table tennis, the ITTF Americas, which is the Continental Federation for Table Tennis in North Central America, Caribbean, South America, similar to CONCACAF in football.
Yes.
And it was an elective assembly. And would you believe in Mexico, a powerhouse of sports in the world, Mexico, two groups of people came to the meeting saying, I am in charge. It's like you're saying you're in charge of table tennis in Mexico, and I'm saying, no, I'm in charge of table tennis in Mexico. Could you believe in 2024 that is happening? And of course, the meeting took the decision, well, boy, we can't entertain any of you. And the strange thing about it is, the Olympic Committee, the Mexico Olympic Committee, they are saying, hey, Mr. Pedro, his team is the bona fide team.
Yes, the legitimate.
And the Department of Sports is saying, well, in Pedro team is Troy, team is the legitimate association. And when we have national associations, national associations have elections. One, I think if it doesn't happen to all, it happens to most of the associations, they invite the SKNOC to run the elections.
Yes.
And I understand that, I fully support it. But when we now write to ITTF Americas, the Caribbean table tennis, and say, we had elections, this is the new executive. The first thing they're going to do is acknowledge receipt and say, hey, could you have your Olympic committee send a document confirming what you've said?
Correct, yes.
Which is saying that the Olympic committee is the authority in any country that says which party is governing the particular sport in a country. So I found it extremely strange that it's happening, and especially coming from Mexico. But I guess that's all about the learning process. 3 minutes to 9, Mr. Director, and we have been going on, and as is the case all the time, we could continue for forever because of the number of programs you have, and the level of activities, and of course we didn't really touch the plans you have for Q1 next year, which is always opening the door for an invitation for you to be on the program Q1 next year to tell us what you're going to be doing for 2025, God's spear. But do you have any parting words you want to leave with us any burning projects you have coming up that you want to lay on us before you leave?
Yes, I want to use this opportunity again to thank you and WINN FM for the invitation to be here.
And the sponsors for your program.
And this, yes. And I also want to thank Honorable Samuel Duggins, our Minister with responsibility for sports and the creative economy, our Permanent Secretary and her office for doing a brilliant job in supporting our activities. Sometimes it's, we're trying to get to the end of things, so we negotiate and we, this is what we want, and, she would point us in the right direction. So I want to thank her and her team at her office for doing that. The Department of Sports, coaches, everyone who works there, the secretary, the admin people, our ground staff, because they do a brilliant job in preparing the facilities for all of us to play, our janitorial staff, and all of our sponsors, St. Kitts Nevis and Gwilla National Bank for coming on board again and sponsoring our primary school football competition, Jones Group of Companies for sponsoring the secondary/tertiary schools football competitions. We have Dasani and Powerade for the netball competitions. We have Apple Cider, who is our ferry service provider. For Vision, who comes on board and do our video streaming currently. Nelson Spring Water, we can't forget them because they're always on board with us. All of the bus drivers, I know they have a very big job to do in terms of bringing the children to the matches, to the venues, and then taking them back home. Some of them, they live in some areas that, the bus driver has to take them there. And so they work with us in that regard. I also want to thank Caribbeans in a big way for coming on board and sponsoring the player of the match, the MVP of each match for the football competitions through Giant Malt, Piagella, and Drinksin. And anyone else whom all of our officials, the unsung heroes, whether it be the referees, the general coordinators, the umpires, the scorers, whatever role they play in making our activities successful, we are eternally grateful. We are thankful for them. And so we want you to continue supporting what we're doing at the Department of Sports. The parents, the schools, the Ministry of Education, who is very, very, very supportive. We thank them for everything that they have provided, the guidance that they have given. And so we only can go from strength to strength. We can't get everything right in one day. As the saying says, Rome wasn't built in one day. And so we'll continue working so that we can produce the best possible sport programs for our federation. Well, thank you very much again for having us, and you'll see us again in the first quarter in January to discuss our programs for the rest of 2025.
I thank you and your team, Mr. Hazel, for taking time out to be with us and to be educating us. And it's always a pleasure to have you there. We look forward to continue enjoying the partnership, because it doesn't make sense any entity doing things and it's not getting out to the public, interacting and partnership, having that partnership with the media. So we appreciate everything that you've been doing, and we must congratulate you on what is being done, and especially bringing back these competitions after COVID. Some countries all over the world, they are still trying to recover from the impact of COVID, and to get back to almost where we were and the participation, it's really tremendous. And the parents, I'm impressed with the parents coming out and supporting them. And even if you don't have a child, go out and support your neighbor child or your aunt, your nephew or your niece. And sponsors, I have a pet peeve for sponsors and sponsorship, because it is key. And earlier I mentioned the fact that, especially in the countries down south, Trinidad and Barbados, the governments, they have an arrangement that with the sponsors, when you give your sponsorship of, I don't know, $100,000, we multiply that by whatever figure, 3, 4, 5, and when it comes to tax deductions, we deduct that amount before we start taxing you on the balance. And I believe that will encourage more entities
Yes.
to come and
Come on
sponsor
board. Mhm.
your sports department, the table tennis and the creative economy, calypsonians, Juve morning bands, community festivals, especially they need the help. And I think right now we had Capistia had theirs, Guy Fest I think is having theirs,
Yes.
and St. Peter's I think they're going to have theirs. Villagerama going to be starting just now, and no doubt I'll seeing you in some suit, a clown suit or something, playing mass in Guy Fest.
I'll be in Guy Fest. I'll be in Guy Fest.
In the old road region, and no doubt you'll invite down Nevada
Yes.
and Maritza and the rest of your team to come and jump up in the Juve and go on bad. But it has been a tremendous pleasure, and I commend you highly, you and your team, for the work you're doing, and encourage you to keep it up.
Yes,
And
definitely.
look forward to having you again in the next few weeks. The year nearly finished.
Yes. Before we go though, the first week in December will be dubbed final week. That's when we're having all of our finals in all of the categories: primary school, under 14 football, open football, under 14 netball, open netball. So we'll definitely be posting that information out so that the general public can see.
And thank you very much again, and we appreciate that. And if you want to ask the director a question, could somebody give you a call directly?
Sure, definitely.
And would you mind giving your number? and
My
email?
number is 762-5189. 762-5189. And we are open to any suggestions. So you can reach out to us and we'll definitely entertain.
And if I want to walk into your office and see you
Yeah,
face to face?
that's very important. Our office is now located between 17 Degrees and Victoria Road Preschool. It's a green and white building, so just enter the parking lot just below Victoria Road Preschool, and our office is there. It's now the offices of the Department of Sports and the Creative Economy.
Thank you very much. And your number again for those who may have missed it.
Yes, my number is 762-5189.
And we look forward to hearing your decision whether or not you're going to be contesting
Yes.
the election shortly.
Definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank Mr. Jeffrey Hazel, Director of Sports, Mr. Nevada Blanchard, the media officer, and the support team of Miss Maritza Williams in the background, the shy lady, and for being with us this evening. It was really an educational experience as usual, and we welcome you back again, and we wish you all the best in the competitions you are running. And we're hoping that SEMS, of course, win and the Sandy Point Primary School wake up from a shaky start and come back. But may the better teams win, and the best wishes again. And thank you very much for the information you're sharing, Nevada.
No problem, thanks.
You're listening to On The Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. My producer has said, well, boy, we could get a few extra minutes. We should have wrapped up at 9. But we're going to go, and because we didn't touch any swimming, we say congratulations to the swimmers who went to St. Martin. Cricket is happening big and massive right now in the West Indies, because the regional CJ50 overs game started today. Yes, today it started, and Trinidad and Tobago, 194 from their 50 overs, combined campuses and colleges. Anybody out on anybody for 194. That's easy pickings. But before we run and go, we're going to come back and take a break, and we'll be back in a second or two.